fears, so many unanswered questions, one thing after another, and many of you know what it is to have one thing after another. To struggle with the pain of life's realities that are inescapable. And if you've not been here yet, keep living. Because life has a way of throwing curveballs, the unexpected. And sometimes you even get hit by the pitch. God's people were struggling in Isaiah 40. They were struggling bad as this chapter prophesied the Babylonian captivity, and it speaks about their struggle. And they ask in verse 27, or they say, my way is hidden from the Lord, and the justice due me escapes the notice of my God. What they're asking is, God, what's going on? God, where are you? Don't you see my pain? My way is hidden from you. You don't see what I'm dealing with. Because if you saw it, you would not let it happen like this way, this long, and this much. The justice due me is not fair. This isn't fair. I shouldn't be hurting like this, crying like this, struggling like this, discouraged like this. Where are you, God? And while we could all be spiritual and pretend we never think that way, there are those times in our lives when God seems to be conspicuously absent, unlocatable. Job put it this way. He says, I looked north and couldn't find him. I looked east, I looked west, I kept looking and I couldn't find him. The absenteeism of God, the sense that my way is hidden from him. He doesn't see what I see, feel what I feel, and understand what I'm going through. And while we can intellectually know better, it doesn't change the broken hearts, the shed tears, or the enormous pain of life's reality. These people thought that God had failed them, that he had relinquished his covenantal promises. There are those times in life when it looks like God is letting somebody put a rake over your soul, where you push the panic button and you feel let down, where you're no longer singing the gospel, you're singing the blues. Because sadness has overtaken you and celebration is just not where your emotions are. They needed God to intervene in the circumstances that was causing them pain. I don't know what your circumstance is today. Probably most of you have one, or who've had one, or you're headed toward one. Whether it's unfulfilled dreams, desires that have not come through, pain that has not been relinquished, hurt that won't go away. This is what they were facing. Where are you, God, when my world is falling apart? When God speaks into their situation, he does not speak scientifically, technologically, academically or philosophically. He speaks theologically. Because he raises the issue in verse 28. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not become weary and tired. His understanding is inscrutable. He says, when your world, Israel, Evans, members of Oak Cliff, is falling apart, this is not the time to run from him. This is the time to run to him. He says, do you not know? And then he throws out theological concepts that we must keep in the frontal lobe of our minds. He is everlasting. His understanding is inscrutable, and he's creator. Everlasting, omnipotent, omniscience. All-knowing, all-powerful, and eternal. You must retreat to the character of God in the crisis of life, regardless of the emotion in the circumstances. Their emotions are sad. They want to know where he is. And when life hits you and you're looking for God and you don't see him, you have to retreat to what you know. He's everlasting, which means he's not limited to time and space. He's creator. So his power is able to oversee, overrule anything. And his omniscience, his understanding is inscrutable. He is the unfigure-outable God. Let me serve notice on you right now. God is hard to understand. He can be extraordinarily confusing. His understanding is inscrutable. It doesn't always add up. You think he's going this way, and he does a curve on you. And he doesn't make sense. Deuteronomy 29:29 says, God has secret things, things that he doesn't tell anybody, things that he chooses not to explain. Sometimes he will explain. Sometimes he will give you reasons. Other times he will hold it close to the vest, either for a time or for all time. You can ask God a question, but you can't question God. Let me say that again. You can ask God a question, but you can't question God. Now, what's the difference? To ask him a question is to say, God, would you help me to understand that? To question God is to challenge him. Your children can ask you a question, but that's different than your children challenging you. When you ask a question, you may or may not get an answer. When you challenge, you're demanding an answer. God will allow a question. He will not allow a challenge. His understanding is inscrutable. You try to figure out what God has chosen not to reveal, and you're going to need all of Walgreens Bayer, Excedrin PM. You're going to need all of Walgreens to deal with the headache of his inscrutability. He says you have to understand this, because if you do not understand it when your world is unraveling, then you will fall prey to the circumstances and not to the creator, everlasting, omniscient God who is overseeing the circumstance.